Hey, yo, welcome back to Doug and Beyond. So going to week 9 here for college football. If you've missed some stuff I'm going about this last couple of 2 months here, definitely in the right place here as we're going to go over some stuff. Definitely going to be missing the nitpicky things, but we'll definitely do the broad stuff and get us all caught up going here. As we have only right now going into week 9, only 5 teams left, completely undefeated. We got right now the top 3 teams. All teams are 7-0 going into week 9. As the top 3, Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M, all undefeated. Then we go down to number 7th ranked Georgia Tech, killing it for the ACC at 7-0. And then BYU, also 7-0, doing really well out there with Bear Boschmeyer and his brother as wide receiver and QB. Good old matchup there, as both of them are first years out there in BYU. All that stuff. But yeah, it's also been kind of a thought of, will we have ever another undefeated team going into basically the national championship game anymore? Obviously, we still have a couple chances here, and once we get into, of course, the top 12, and we're gonna get the playoff bracket in obviously the near future to see who's going to be going to the playoffs. Obviously, we're gonna have most likely the top 3 here going to the playoffs. That's gonna have to be how it's be. And obviously, probably top seed to Ohio State if they keep on going how they are, all the way up until around that area. But yeah, so good job for these teams to be undefeated and basically being taking care of business. For most of these teams, definitely taking care of business in the ways that they should have. Obviously, we had a lot of ranking moves across the board every week. Without a doubt, always going to happen. You're never going to have a just solid week of every team just staying where it is. Because if one team is ranked and they do well, another team, it can shift them around just that much, 1 to 2 spots here, and change around the rankings in that way. In another way, the team that actually was starting off terribly, UCLA down there in Southern California, starting off to an 0-4 start against Utah, UNLV, New Mexico, and Northwestern. Of course, they fired the head coach a few weeks ago, and it seemed like things are just turning around pretty insanely quick. Of course, the first win was against ranked Penn State. Massive win for that. As we'll get to Penn State in just a second. We've already had massive news with them. I did put a video out for that. If you want to take a look, we'll link it here. We'll link it in the video here. But yeah, then they went to Michigan. They had at Michigan State. They won there, did pretty well there, 38-13, and then they played Maryland. Maryland's not insane, really high end here, but they continued their winning ways. That's all you want to do, just build that snowball and get it bigger. Hey, it doesn't matter how big or small the win is, especially if you start off 0-4 in the season and you're not really expected to do much throughout the season and make it to the playoffs in general. So seeing what fits and how things work. But yeah, they hire, of course, the interim head coach right now is Tim Skipper, and right now their interim offensive coordinator and QB coach is actually a former player of UCLA, Jerry Neutral. So we obviously have some already standings with him, and it's pretty interesting to see how kind of quickly a team can just turn around. We've seen it, of course, in the NFL with a few teams already. Also, as well, it's just sometimes you gotta just change the atmosphere and change what you're looking at in general, as just things going around the season. That's why these changes happen. You maybe just see something that you want to change. Let's change it. Hey, it works. It doesn't work. No bad news on that one. But it's obviously looking for pretty good news here. Their next game coming up is this at noon against probably an insane competition for them, going against number 2 Indiana. So after that, 2 weeks later, they're at Indiana next week, and then in 2 weeks after that, they're at number 1 Ohio State's campus there, looking for these just massive wins to try and just maybe play some spoiler. Imagine they go and play and beat the number 2 and the number 1 team in the country and just completely just shatter the rankings in general and just throw everything off and be like, what is happening to this UCLA team? If they win out, that would be beyond insane, honestly. They have Nebraska, Washington, USC after that. So obviously the big rivalry there for Southern California. I think they're probably like a half-hour distance from each other, 45 minutes traffic-wise. Obviously, Southern California is a terrible traffic city, just like this in New York, where I'm as knowing traffic pretty well. It's definitely a rough thing sometimes, but you get used to it to a point. Then we got number 7, Miami. They did not do great. They fell, of course, to number 7 as they, of course, lost to Louisville in a very bad and terrible loss. Terrible loss on Miami's part. They, of course, had number of interceptions. They had 4 interceptions for Beck there. Especially the last one hurt probably the most. The interception to completely seal it off. Again, if they really could, they could have tried that for the field goal. But at that point, it'd probably been like a 70-yard field goal, breaking like every record in the book. 80-yard field goal. There was no chance of them even going for that. That wasn't even probably in the playbook at that moment to do the field goal. Of course, they had to make it probably at least another 20-25 yards down to even make it reasonable to that point. But yeah, they've crashed. They have crashed right now to number 9, dropping 7 points at that point. Obviously, they were cruising through the season at 5-0 at that point until now. But yeah, this is just kind of, was it needed? Was this loss for Miami needed? Just kind of give them a little like smack, like, hey, like their teams are down here that can still do some stuff. Obviously, that was a big matchup for Louisville against Miami as a ACC matchup there. And weirdly enough, they kind of don't even control their own destiny into a point of like the ACC title game competition. They actually fall pretty far. They fall a couple spots also in the actual ACC thing there. Of course, we have Georgia Tech still undefeated in the ACC, right above them, a couple spots here right at 7 right now, as I mentioned earlier in the video. But yeah, this is just maybe something that Miami needs to do and just get that kind of win, get that loss out of the way. They had on College Game Day, Nick Saban said, hey, sometimes you just need that loss to just kick in the ass and just really show you the spots that you really need to work on. Even though, hey, for the last 5 weeks, they worked great. You have this going on. Maybe that 1 or 2 players in that team maybe slightly took that week off. Didn't play 110%. Maybe they played 105%, which that, even though, yes, you're playing over your expected thing, maybe those 5% to that 110% was maybe the reason why, and I'm sure they're going to come out this coming week and basically try and beat the crap out of the team. So yeah, the next game is versus Stanford. So honestly, the rest of their schedule should not be insanely terrible. They should actually win out here for their Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pitt. But yeah, SMU is doing also really pretty good. 3-0 in ACC and 5-2 overall this year. They're actually undefeated. I think SMU is completely undefeated since last year. Of course, they were in first ACC year last year, and they're completely undefeated. So that could actually be pretty good, an interesting match to see how SMU matches up with Miami. After, of course, Miami goes against Stanford, they should win that game. Again, you go into every game not really knowing what, of course, the expectation is to a point, but they should win that one and see how if Miami can break up that streak. Because right now, next game actually for SMU is going to be here with they are going to be playing at Wake Forest. So not a crazy matchup there for SMU. Definitely, I think they should definitely be able to handle business against them. But yeah, see if Miami can maybe push them out and get and unbreak that. If Wake Forest doesn't do it, maybe Miami can do that. Next, of course, going back to with the crazy win for UCLA against Penn State. As of course we've already seen Penn State fire their coach, and already had they just fired James Franklin, and they lost in their in his interim debut. So not looking good for Penn State at all, as they just continue to fall even further down. As I think they're completely out of the rankings now. They are not even remotely in it at all. I don't even see them on like the actual thing to be even have any votes whatsoever. Yeah, they are. It's not even remotely here in general. They've been out for, I think they've been out for at least a week now at this point. Week 8 here. Yeah, they dropped out. I think 2 weeks ago. Was it actually 2 weeks ago that they dropped out here? Week 7, or was it even long before that? At Penn State, they dropped out. They were at 7, and they went crashing down out of it, and just they're not even remotely in it at this point. To that, they're just trying to rebuild completely. To this. So, yeah, them having not even have won that one. And I think it was just started from the Oregon game, the whiteout, and they just done. After that, done. Clemson, another one, just out of it. Not even remotely even getting a chance here. I don't even know the last time they were in it. Let me see if I can actually, I'm just going to guess a week here. Week 5. I don't even think, yeah, they're not even in it week 5. I don't even think they started ranked in, oh yeah, they were 12th in week 3. Week 2, they were actually, yeah, they were ranked 8. I was like, that actually does not seem right. In preseason, they were ranked number 4. So another team that has just completely vanished from the rankings, just not doing good. Cade Klubnik was not what he was. He was sort of really good a couple years ago with Clemson, and just has continued to not impress at all, and has just completely fallen out. Clemson is just not what they used to be a number of years ago. Of course, they were dominating every year for a number of years in the ACC, and it just has not been kept up and been able to go along. A lot of crappy things have been going on. A lot of firing, a lot of downfalls here for some teams. Let's change up a little bit here as we go to Vanderbilt, as Vanderbilt has been completely opposite, just completely killing it. They are actually right now, I think they are ranked 13 or something like that. They are, yeah, so yeah, it was close. Top 10 right now. Vanderbilt at number 10 at 6-1, going up 7 ranks as they actually came off a very big win here against, I think it was LSU. Yeah, they just beat LSU in that one. So yeah, this is just, yeah, they came off a big LSU win, 31-24. They did, their only loss was against Alabama, which is the week before that, 30-14, where Alabama was able to basically bring themselves back from the dead and resurrect themselves from that big loss last year that kind of put Pavia on the, Rico Pavia on the map there for him in general. Yeah, this is, they're definitely doing some really good things over there in down there in Tennessee. I think Vanderbilt's in Tennessee. It's from what I can remember. Yeah, Pavia's just lighting it up. He's doing really well. He's of course put them more on the map than they have been. Of course, Vanderbilt's a very good baseball school. They've had a lot of top ranked players come out of there, but they're bringing in football a lot more, and it's definitely been a very interesting and awesome thing to watch them happen. Yeah, this is an awesome thing to see what Vanderbilt is building. They had a conversation on game day with Pavia, saying basically like they're kind of like misfits in a way. They're not really anyone's getting paid a lot to be there in general. Like probably some are getting NIL money, a couple $1,000s, couple $100,000, which granted, any kind of money is usually pretty good in general, especially if you're making NIL. It's usually not like $20, $100, like anything small to a point. Granted, yes, a lot of people aren't making even a couple $100s in a day to a week, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So any NIL is obviously always good, but you're having people like you got for Manning, he's making a couple $1 million, and you got people in Vanderbilt, of course, definitely happy to make probably a couple $100,000 there for him. But we still got a very good thing. Now we're going to kind of go back here to a little bad thing, as we've just had Florida fire Billy Napier after a 3-4 start this year. But this is also again where the firing coaches and all that in the middle of contracts, in the middle of seasons, just kind of just kills it with how much money they have to give up. So let's get into this. We actually have this kind of goes back a little bit, a couple of years ago. But right now, Florida owes Napier roughly around $21 million. It's not the, it was a $50 million almost that they owe, Penn State owes for James Franklin. But it is a whole lot of money that they owe him right up front here, which with half of that buyout is due within 30 days. So a month they get to buy, so they owe him about $11 million in 30 days, and the rest will be spread out over 3 annual installments beginning next summer, meaning that since the Gators are still also paying former coach Dan Mullen, they will now be paying 3 head coaches for the second time in seven years. That's ridiculous. They're just paying millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. They're paying, I don't even know how much actually money they've been paying the last $7, but yeah, they've been paying in 7 years. Once they hired Napier's replacement, they did the same thing with in 2018 with Will Muschamp, Jim McClellan, and Mullen here. So yeah, when he was there, he went 22-23. So just under 500, which is terrible, in 4 seasons at Florida, and including 12 and 16 in the SEC, which he was 5-7 against ranked opponents. Which, if you're 12 and 16 in the SEC, one of the hardest conferences in the country, you're just not going anywhere at all, remotely even close to a playoff spot. And just in general, you're not even over 500. You can't even get anywhere at all. So honestly, after 4 seasons, I'm actually pretty impressed he lasted that 4 seasons. Like, if you see 2 or 3 seasons going, like middle of the 3rd season, you think that something would have happened at that rate. But yeah, this is just a lot of, you have obviously some really good things, cool things happening. Obviously some teams still undefeated. See how long they can last. I'm gonna say that they're gonna last another 3 weeks. I think we're gonna get, because right now we have no, as of right now, we got no more in the sight for Ohio State of any ranked games. Penn State, so they're gonna yeah, they have Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and actually ranked Michigan. 25 right now at the moment. Obviously, always things can change, but yeah, that Ohio State UCLA game, I think is gonna probably be one of the most interesting games. Just because again, you have Ohio State's probably gonna go into this maybe completely undefeated if they do. Of course, they always taking care of business, but I think with that one, you're going to have maybe Penn State, if UCLA can do something the next week, if they can even go 1-1 the next couple weeks here and go into the Ohio State game, I think you might put it actually a pretty big scare on Ohio State to be like, all right, we're undefeated, we can't let this happen to us with UCLA like it did with the other teams here in the last couple weeks. But I think that we're going to get at least 2 more weeks out of these undefeated teams and just see what goes along the rest of the year. And obviously we're gonna get, in a couple weeks, we're gonna be getting like the actual, like, hey, like these are gonna probably be the teams that are gonna completely be in it and have almost no chance of really being booted out, unless just abysmal, insane things happen on the rest of the season. But yeah, some really good things and some really crappy things. It's always going to be how it is, but we got a lot of stuff to look forward to, and still a number of weeks left, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see just how a lot of these teams are just going to kind of flip it around. Maybe will Penn State even come out of the dark age here? Will Clemson come out of the dark age? Well, will Vanderbilt get any higher than number 10? That's going to be a pretty tough thing, but I can definitely see it. They got a good amount of momentum, and they got a good coaching stuff over there. Good team in general. They got a lot of players just playing to play, which is really awesome. I'm sure a lot of them are like, hey, we do really well here. Yeah, we'll take our money here, but if we do really well, we can get drafted and then make a whole lot more money at that point. So definitely going to be a really interesting thing. Definitely hit that subscribe button for more updates and more videos throughout the rest of the season and other sports. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace!